Can't actually believe I'm saying this, but we have Bitcoin above 100,000. We have Bitcoin at 100,000, $102,517. And I think another thing which I can't believe is that we actually have a US president celebrating with us that Bitcoin is over $100,000. Today, what I want to do is I want to actually look at why Bitcoin broke $100,000, and I want to talk about what actually happens next, because I think we were all so fixated with what happens or when Bitcoin will break $100,000 that we never actually thought, okay, when Bitcoin actually breaks $100,000, what happens next? Where do we go next? How long does it take? What are the next upside targets? And then what happens to altcoins? And so that's what I want to spend my time on today. So happy Bitcoin 100,000 day to those who celebrate. And I think we should talk a lot more about how much there is to celebrate. So let's go, guys. Listen, it's a big day today. I mean, it's a huge day. I don't know when you guys got into crypto, but I can tell you when I got into crypto, I didn't think that Bitcoin was going to hit 100,000 so soon. And here we are, 2024. We're still in 2024, the last month of 2024, and we're hitting $100,000. And I think we have a lot to celebrate today, a fortune to celebrate today. But probably a lot of it is because I think $100,000 is just the beginning of a new journey. It's probably the end of the old journey, which was the very early days of Bitcoin, and probably the beginning of a new journey. And I think that this journey takes us from 100,000 to $1 million. And I honestly think that the road from 0 to 100,000 was much harder than the road from 100,000 to $1 million, because there's a lot of acceptance of the asset, because it's become an amazing asset class, etc. So that's what I want to talk about today. I really want to talk about what happens next. I know everyone's celebrating 100,000, but what happens next? What happens to altcoins? And also, like, how did we get here? What actually got us here? So that's what I want to be doing today. So listen, first of all, I saw that about 5,000 of you subscribed yesterday to the channel. Remember that this is the new channel, and we're going to be bringing you a lot of live stuff on this channel. Also, the reason why I came to you today on this channel is because later on, believe it or not, on the other channel, on the Crypto Banter channel, I'm hosting a debate between Fred Krueger and Peter Schiff. On the day that Bitcoin broke $100,000, I'm hosting probably one of the biggest debates in Bitcoin history, and I'm hosting it on the other Banter channel. So make sure to actually tune into the other Banter channel. Also, make sure if you're not already subscribed to this channel that you subscribe, because this is where the alpha is going to be, guys. This is where the alpha is going to be. So if you're not already subscribed, smash the subscribe button and join Crypto Banter Live, or Crypto Live, which is our new channel, because this is where the alpha is going to be. So if you love alpha, just take 1 second now and just subscribe to this channel. Alrighty, let's get into the show. I know you guys subscribe. Just subscribe. Come on, let's get it to 30,000 right now, and then we can carry on with the rest of the show. Come on, 17 more. 13. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3, 2, 1, and we are on 30,000 subs in the new channel. Congratulations, guys. Well done. All right, let's get into. I mean, as I said, I just can't believe it. I mean, I did see this wedge coiling up yesterday, and I was like, no way will Bitcoin break 100,000 tonight. And it actually did break 100,000. And as I said, I think everybody's euphoric. I think the thing that I'm pretty euphoric about is the fact that we have a president, a sitting or a new president, incoming president of the United States, actually celebrating with us. I don't think I believed that we would get to 100,000 so soon, and I don't think that I believed that we would have the support of a United States president, the such blatant support of a United States president when we crossed the 100,000 mark. But I think it really does kind of make sense now. And I think that what we're seeing now is that everybody on crypto Twitter is absolutely euphoric, and I think there's a lot to be euphoric about. I think for me, the part that I'm happiest about is I know the journey we've been on. And, I don't know when you guys got in, but, I got in around 2014, just after the Mt. Gox collapse. That's when I actually got in. And I went from 2014 to 2017, and then I went through the crypto winters, and I went through COVID, and I went COVID collapse, and I went through FTX and GBTC and Gary Gensler and the Celsius collapse and the Luna collapse. And here we are celebrating $100,000. And I think that we have a lot to be thankful for in this journey. And I think for me specifically,
I'm right here.
I was watching this video earlier, which basically highlights a whole lot of the Bitcoin moments. And I think for me personally, the opportunity to be part of a revolution at such an early stage of the game and to play such a big part in my own way in this revolution has been amazing. As I was watching this video, I realized that, you know, I met all these guys face to face. 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗧, 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗧, 𝗓𝗫, when he first started. I mean, I was here before 𝗥𝗘𝗖𝗘 was here. I met Vitalik just as he launched Ethereum, or just very, very, very soon after he launched Ethereum. And I think for me, what I'm really thankful for is that I could be part of a revolution at such an early stage of the game. I pretty much have met all the key players in this industry. I also think that I landed up doing my part. Like I landed up really doing my part. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but actually in 2017, after being in the industry for about 2 or 3 years, I landed up launching the world's first televised crypto show, which was actually aired on CNBC. At the time, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, but I was the first person to bring a Bitcoin show to mainstream TV, and it just so happened that mainstream TV was CNBC. Now, listen, this was the most, I mean, you can see the date here. It was the 4th of August, 2017. It was so embarrassing. I'm going to play like one little clip, but it was absolutely embarrassing. I knew nothing about TV. How corny is this intro? Look how embarrassing this is going to be. I'm going to switch it off very quickly. Welcome to Crypto Trader, the world's first televised Bitcoin and cryptocurrency investment show. I'm Crypto Man Run, and I'm going to be your host. That was me in 2017 when I actually launched the world's first televised crypto show. And I'm very, very, very grateful because after I carried on running this channel, the CNBC Crypto Trader channel, and I mean, for me, that was a great opportunity very, very, very early on to be part of this revolution and really, really, really to meet every single person that was instrumental in the revolution. People like the 𝗙𝗢𝗡𝗧 twins, people like 𝗪𝗔𝗡, people like 𝗟𝗑𝗢𝗓𝗧, people like 𝗓𝗔 before he was around, before or just as he was starting Binance. Ironically, this guy over here, I'm sure you guys have seen this.
That's the last 3 hours. Bitcoin is now up to $111. It's an all-time high, and it's continuing to rise. I've seen it break 3 times today. Went up to 110, and this is the highest that it's been. It's ridiculous. Last trade, 189 Bitcoin for $111. I mean, just look at this graph. You see this graph?
This is a guy called Isaac Miller, and actually, to be honest, I met Isaac and I interviewed him on the show, and you can see that he repeated this. He repeated it today when it went to $100,000. That's Isaac again.
It's just right here, watching history be made. Bitcoin is up to $100,000.
Actually, today I was trying to get him. I was actually trying to get Isaac onto the show today. He was supposed to come onto the show today. I was speaking to him on X, and he said the problem is that he hadn't fallen asleep yet. So he said, I'll try and show you guys. So here it is. That was my conversation today with Isaac. I was like, Isaac, when are you coming back on the show? And he said he'll try come on the show, but he actually passed out. He was actually asleep. So, I mean, I'm fully grateful that I could be such an early part of the revolution, and I'm sure we've actually all done our part in this revolution. And it's great for me to see that I got in here when Bitcoin was at about $500 or something like that. It's for me a huge milestone to see Bitcoin at $100,000. I mean, I watched Bitcoin at 500 to 1,000. I watched it go to 10,000. I watched it go to 20,000 and then 50,000. And today's a massive, massive, massive day. Massive, massive, massive day. So I'm proud of what I've done, and I think we should all be proud of what we've done, because I think we've all done our own little bit to help this revolution, even if it was just educating a person, teaching a person, passing on the message. Some of you wrote newsletters, some of you created websites, and then some of you did what we did and created content. As I say, I started the first show on CNBC, and I think that show was instrumental in actually making Bitcoin more accepted as a mainstream asset. Before I started the CNBC show, no mainstream media was actually talking about Bitcoin. So I think the reason why we're here is because we had people who believed, and of course we had people who didn't believe in Bitcoin. So I don't know if you guys know, but 𝗏𝗡𝗍𝗔 was, he's rumored to maybe even be part of the real Satoshi. And lucky that in 2009 he was running the first Bitcoin node. And then you obviously had the guys that didn't believe, which was people like Peter Schiff, who still didn't believe, and that's why he's going to be on the show later on the other channel today, and we're going to debate him on the day when Bitcoin hits 100,000. Then of course there was Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett's partner.
Currency that's out there that people say, oh, it might be the next big thing. What do you think?
I think it's rat poison. Put him down as undecided.
So I mean, sadly, of course, Charlie Munger's passed away. People like Jamie Dimon, who didn't believe and maybe still don't believe.
Deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years.
So not everybody has believed, even the CEO of PayPal, who, by the way, PayPal are now all in on Bitcoin. In fact, they've actually got their PayPal stablecoin.
Back in April, the former CEO of PayPal came out swinging against the crypto universe, calling Bitcoin, quote unquote, the greatest scam in history, adding that it's a pump and dump scheme like anything the world has ever seen. You might remember he appeared on our show to discuss that. Now he's back with an even bolder call, saying Bitcoin is headed straight to zero. Let's bring in Bill Harris, the former PayPal CEO. Bill, welcome. Good to see you in person.
Thanks. I'm delighted that you like buying into weakness, because I think you'll have a lot of opportunity to do that.
Oh, yowza! Well,
Who's laughing now? Who's laughing now? So that was 6 years ago on CNBC. Warren Buffett also very much against it.
It's very simple. Now, if you told me you owned all of the Bitcoin in the world and you offered it to me for $25, I wouldn't take it, because what would I do with it? I have to sell it back.
So not everyone believed in Bitcoin. I mean, this guy, I don't know if he believed or didn't believe, but this is the famous guy who sold his 𝗏𝗡𝗍𝗔, who sold his pizza. He bought a pizza for 10,000 Bitcoin, which probably cost him more than $1 billion at the current price. So not everyone believed, but there were a lot of people that actually did believe. So people like Brian Armstrong, people like John McAfee, who's sadly gone, but people like the Winklevoss brothers, people like Ben Cowen. Now, this is actually super interesting, but if you look at this tweet from 2020, in 2020, Ben Cowen said, in between 2023 and 2024, Bitcoin's going to hit $100,000. And here we are 4 years later, and 4.5 years later, and his predictions actually come right. And I must say, credit where credit's due, Ben's called the cycle absolutely perfectly. He called Bitcoin dominance to 60% before we turn into the altcoin season. He's called it absolutely beautifully. People like Roger Ver, who's maybe now in a little bit of hot water, but people like him and 𝗟𝗑𝗢𝗓 and Charlie Shrem, who was in prison for accepting or running the first Bitcoin exchange without the proper KYC. So all these people, luckily, all these people actually believed, and they actually helped us get to where we got to. And I think there's a lot to celebrate. I really do. Let's talk about how this actually happened yesterday. I don't know if you guys were watching, but let's maybe talk about how this actually happened yesterday. By the way, if you haven't already destroyed the like button, obliterate the like button. I see we've got less likes than yesterday, and we're on the new channel, and so the problem is that the YouTube algorithm doesn't know that we're here. So smash the like button. Also, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe. Let's go. This is where the alpha is going to be, and I need you guys to obliterate the like button. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the views up. Let's look at what actually happened yesterday. So what happened yesterday was we were trading in this wedge, and I thought that we're going to break out of this wedge, and then a few things happened which were absolutely amazing. The first thing that happened was this head of the SEC that we spoke about yesterday, Paul Atkins, he actually accepted the nomination from Trump. Now remember, at the beginning, he didn't actually want to accept it because he said Gary Gensler had messed up the place so bad. And so he then accepted the nomination, which was very, very, very good when it happened. Hester Peirce, who, I don't know if you remember, I told you yesterday, Hester Peirce, who's a commissioner at the SEC, was actually appointed while he was the head of the SEC. And she says, we have a lot of work to do to advance at the SEC to advance free markets, capital formation, investor choice, and innovation. I'm delighted that Paul Atkins will be running the effort. So very, very, very bullish. And it looks like we're going into a new generation of the SEC. You will remember that I shorted RSR yesterday because I thought it had run too much. And that short actually, as you can see over here, is actually printing. It's now 114% up. I shorted it because I said that even though Paul Atkins was an advisor to RSR, the first thing you have to do if he was appointed was actually to step down from RSR. So I landed up shorting it. That's currently 36,000 in profit. And then my other short, which is XRP, is almost back at break even. It's $6,000 down, but I'll make money on that. I've already been paid $1,000 in funding. So having fun on all these announcements. I'm doing this just for fun. I really am doing this just for fun. By the way, if you want to be trading perps like I am, long, short, if you want to trade, let's just see if we can get the link here for you. So if you want to trade perps, you can get, there's a link at the bottom of the show here. If you want to trade on Bybit, you can get a huge sign-up bonus. BitGet as well, 10% of your trading fees. And then Blowfin does no KYC. So you can trade perps. Also, we're going to be doing giveaways for people that sign up, and I'll show you the giveaways later. So if you want to be trading perps, that's where you should do it. So also, I watched this interview with Paul Atkins. It's an amazing interview. I recommend that you guys watch it. It's a 45-minute long interview, and it's called Keep Your Government Hands Off My Crypto.
It's a good conversation.
So you can see that the new incoming chair of the SEC is one of us. I mean, it's literally a podcast called Keep Your Government Hands Off My Crypto. And that's really what this podcast is about. 45 minutes of absolutely brilliant viewing. That was the first thing that happened. Then what happened was you had Jerome Powell in an interview, huge interview. He said,
before I forget, one of the reasons I wanted to actually ask you about Bitcoin is to some degree people think that is a symbol of people's faith or lack of faith in either the U.S. dollar or in the Federal Reserve itself in terms of the system. What do you think of that idea?
I don't think that's how people think about it. I mean, it's so, people use Bitcoin as a speculative asset, right? It's like gold. It's just like gold, only it's virtual. It's digital. People are not using it as a form of payment or as a store of value. It's highly volatile. It's not a competitor for the dollar. It's really a competitor for gold. That's really how I think of it.
So ironically, you had Jerome Powell, who's the head of the Fed, come out and say that Bitcoin is actually like a digital gold. And that gave like more credibility to this whole Bitcoin thing. So people that were sitting on the sidelines were like, hold on, even Jerome Powell's calling this a new version of gold. And so effectively, when you combine what happened with Trump appointing Paul Atkins and Paul Atkins accepting, and then the head of the Fed comes out and he says, oh, this is like a digital gold. That probably would have been enough. But then what happened was we had another thing happen, and that was that Putin was also being interviewed, and Putin came out, listen to what Putin said.
Биткоин кто может запретить? Никто. А использование других электронных средств расчета кто может запретить? Никто, потому что это новые технологии. И чего бы ни было, чего бы ни происходило с долларом, эти инструменты так или иначе будут развиваться, потому что все будут стремиться к тому, чтобы снижать издержки и повышать надежность.
So you got a president of Russia coming out and saying, look, no one can ban Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will continue to go no matter what happens to the dollar. So you take the Paul Atkins news, then you take the Jerome Powell news, and then you take the Putin news, and that was like pretty much enough to drive Bitcoin straight through this wedge. But then we also got like a little bit of spice sprinkled on it. We had Michael Saylor go onto Fox in a very bullish interview.
Right now, Bitcoin is $2 trillion. You're saying in 21 years, $280 trillion. How do we get there?
What I'm saying is the wealth in the entire world is growing because of innovation, because of technology, but also because of inflation. And people are thinking to sell their Central African real estate to buy Bitcoin, or sell their Siberian natural gas to buy Bitcoin, or sell their Argentine currency to buy Bitcoin. So as people migrate their capital into this global monetary asset, that asset class is going to grow faster.
So Saylor went onto national TV and told people that Bitcoin's going to billions and billions and billions of dollars. And then you want to just add one last, Eric Adams, who's the mayor of New York, he came out.
We were a country and a city that led the globe in innovation. And look at us now. It's time for a change. And I've said this for years, and I'm happy that Elon is going to be part of those who are moving that change forward. We should not be afraid of Bitcoin. Remember y'all laughed at me when I first got my Bitcoin? Who's laughing now? Go look at my Bitcoin.
That's exactly it. So that is what actually pushed up the price out of this wedge. All those things put together at once pushed the price out of this wedge. And then what happened was you started to see a crazy buying volume on Bitcoin, like nothing you've ever seen. The Coinbase premium spiked. You had like a massive Coinbase premium, which means that Americans were out buying spot Bitcoin when they heard all these interviews. You had Americans were out buying spot Bitcoin like crazy. The spot premium went up, I think, more than $300, but I saw it at $300. And you can see that here's the chart of the Coinbase premium, and you can see that the Coinbase premium. For those of you who don't know, Coinbase premium is the premium that people pay on Coinbase to buy Bitcoin. Usually that is a sign that there's a lot of demand from the Americans, spot demand from the Americans. And that pushes the Bitcoin on Coinbase up. You also saw in the ETFs. So the ETFs, another 500 million plus day. And if you take, again, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, you've got almost like $2 billion flowing into Bitcoin. So the thing now is that the higher we go, the more demand there's going to be. I know it sounds crazy, but the higher we go, the more demand there's going to be. And I'm going to show you in a second why, right? So basically, what's happened is we've now broken through this wedge. And as we broke through the wedge, as I showed you, all of a sudden there was more demand instead of less demand, right? So there's more demand in the wedge. Someone says play the pre. I'm scared if I play the pre, the price will go like 120,000. I'm just too scared to do it. So should we do it? So, okay, so it worked. It did work a little bit. So the price is now over $100,000, and all of a sudden there's much more demand for Bitcoin, believe it or not, right? So what you have is you can see that, look at these funding rates. Holy shit. Funding on crypto now, the demand for funding now is actually crazy. Just have a look at this. So we're back in yellow. Yellow means that the funding rates are over 100% effectively. Okay, so you can kind of see, let's just see if we can maybe make it a bit black here, but just look at that. The funding, this is funding of 68% and up. So funding is about 80% and up. In fact, we can go into the funding here. This is the annualized funding. So if you're going to go and take leverage on Bitcoin, on Bybit, just as an example, you're going to pay 90% per year in funding. On ETH, you're going to pay 77% per year in funding. On XRP, you're going to pay 110% per year in funding. Funding rates are absolutely crazy, which means that right now, people are aping in at all-time highs. It means people are taking more and more and more leverage at all-time highs. Now, look, to be honest, this actually does scare me a little bit. And so I did want to take a whole lot more positions, and I did take one position. I'll show you what the position is, but I didn't take the position because I was too worried about these funding rates. These funding rates are absolutely crazy. And I mean, if you go back, yes, these funding rates can be high for quite a while. So let me just go back a little bit. So you see that here, the funding rates were in March and April, the funding rates were high for quite long. So the funding rates can actually continue to be high for quite long. And so I think that's what's going to happen now. Also, what you're going to remember is that the journey from 1,000 to 10,000, which is only a $9,000 increase in the Bitcoin price, took 4 years. And then from 2013 to 2017 it took 4 years from 2014 to 2017. Then 10,000 to 100,000 took 7 years. And so it just means that it's going to get higher quicker. Then the numbers are going to go higher quicker. As Dennis says, the path to 1 million will be 10 times faster than the path to 100. The hardest part has been 0 to 100. But ironically, once you've gone past $100,000, it becomes a more bona fide asset and it becomes a safer asset, and therefore more people land up investing. Also, so historically, when Bitcoin crosses a major psychological level, it keeps pushing higher for quite some time. And I do remember that when Bitcoin went over 10,000 here, it continued to go up straight to 20,000, obviously with a few dips, but straight to 20,000. Same thing when Bitcoin went over 20,000 in 2020, we went all the way up to 44,000 before we saw any real correction. So this is actually really good. The best marketing that can happen to Bitcoin is actually to go over $100,000, believe it or not. So And that's exactly what's going on now, because now we've gone over the $100,000. And, you know, from a normie point of view, all we're seeing is headlines. Bitcoin hits $100,000 for the first time. Bitcoin surges above $100,000. So price is actually the best advert for the asset, because as we break the price, we get more and more people reading how the price has been broken. So you understand how that happens, right? So like the price breaks to 100,000, then all the media create a frenzy because they all report at the same time. Bitcoin has gone to new highs. And what you'll notice is that when an asset usually breaks a trend going upwards, the commentators usually call it higher. So I haven't looked at this article, but I'm sure if I look at this article, people here would say that we're probably going to go much higher, right? So that's the thing with these articles. As we break 100,000, so we get more free marketing from the press. And when we get more free marketing from the press here, that actually lands up taking the price higher. So I know it sounds crazy, but that's how it is. Then there is another thing which is happening, and that is that that obviously brings retail back. But the other thing that is happening is, remember that the more money people make in Bitcoin, the more people flex the money that they make, and the more people flex the money that they make, the more people want to try and emulate the success of other people, right? So it's like, I'm sure you got into Bitcoin because you heard that other people were making money in Bitcoin. So the more money that people were making on Bitcoin, the more people want to get into Bitcoin. I know it's weird. You should be buying it when no one's making money, but now it creates this euphoria. And so $100,000 actually becomes the best marketing. And you can see that marketing actually begets marketing. So price goes up. President of El Salvador tweets, Elon Musk also says impressive, knowing that he's also actually invested in Bitcoin through Tesla and through the SpaceX and whatever else. So higher price begets higher price. I don't know if that makes sense, but higher price actually helps us get higher price. So it's the same as subscribers on the channel. Higher subscribers on the channel helps us get more subscribers on the channel because they think it's a better channel. So that means you have to subscribe. All right, what happens next? So look, on the one hand, we have to watch out for funding. Funding is now incredibly, incredibly high. It is euphoric out there. People are paying 113% to fund leverage trades. It is absolutely euphoric out there. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But look at the RSIs. If you look at the RSIs, you can see that, you know, in many parts of history, RSIs have actually gone way higher before they've come down, right? Right now, the RSI is just under 80. The RSI can go all the way up to 90 before we start getting some kind of cool down. As 𝗕𝗫𝗢𝗔𝗬 says, he says, as the realized cap grew, the ceiling price increased from 129 to 146. At 102, we're very, very, very far from the ceiling price. So we can still go a long way up. We can go all the way up to like another 40% before we see some kind of real correction. If you look at the power law or what they call the rainbow chart, very, very, very similar charts, right? Both of them are actually showing that it's not even time to get excited yet. So actually, the rainbow chart is saying that you're still in the accumulate phase. You're still in the buy and accumulate phase. That's you're in the accumulate phase of Bitcoin, which is like you ain't seen nothing yet because apparently all the emotions only start when we get to the yellow. So we can seriously continue to go up for a lot longer. And as I said before, just because we are high doesn't mean we can't go higher. It actually means the higher we go, actually the higher we can go. That's the psychology behind it. So that's the story on Bitcoin. Now let's talk about what else happens. So another thing which is happening, which is super, super, super interesting, is this wedge over here on ETH. So remember that Bitcoin is now broken through its all-time high, you know, the 69,000 all-time high or whatever it was. And ETH is nowhere near its previous all-time high. And right now, ETH is sitting in this wedge. And it has been sitting in this wedge since 2022 or 2021. And as you can see over here, it looks like it's going to break out of this wedge. And when ETH does break out of this wedge, because it's been accumulating for such a long period of time, there's talk of ETH getting to like $7,000 or $8,000. And you can see that it's starting to play out on chain. So the ETH demand, just look at all the days of positive. And we're now starting to get great momentum on ETH as well. We're starting to see this breakout. In fact, Crypto says, once ETH breaks out of this pattern, I'll open the biggest trade of my life. Now, it's not like he hasn't got a trade open. He's already got the biggest trade I've ever seen on ETH open. And he says he's going to open a bigger trade. Let's just actually find, I want to see if he actually, here we go. He has 777,000 ETH. Josh, is that 777,000 ETH? It is, right? Yeah, it is. So wait, let me get this straight. He's holding a position. How much is 777,000 ETH? That's a lot of ETH, bro. That's a lot of ETH. It's on 50x. It's on 50x leverage. Absolutely crazy. And he says he's going to open a bigger position. Also, if you look at ETH is just put in the golden cross. So that's when the 200 SMA crosses the 50 MA, or the 50 crosses the 200 MA. And you can see that ETH has just put in the golden cross. And so the ETF flows are doing, the golden cross is in. And so now you can see that it's probably going to be alt season very, very, very soon. All the indicators are now telling us it's going to be alt season. When Bitcoin broke 10,000, we had a little bit, 9 days of sideways until we actually broke up on the total 2, which is the alt season index. So if this plays out, then in the next couple of days, we can get a massive, massive, massive ETH run and an alt run. And as Benjamin Khan says, he says, last cycle, ETH also lagged and didn't put in a new all-time high until January of the post-halving year. And we're just about to go into January. So looks like the cycle's really, really playing out. And we are now going to see the best part of the cycle, which is actually the altcoin. So here is today's altcoins. Let's just quickly see what's running. 𝗬𝗢 running again over 435. Holy shit, that's amazing for 𝗬𝗢. Render had a upbit or BitHum listing in Korea. Oh, Hyperliquid. Is it not listed on? Are there no perps here on Hyperliquid? Not yet. You can see that. Stacks going up. I did tell you guys to look at Stacks because I think of this upgrade. Remember, we spoke about all the events that can drive. Let's just see. Doge is up. Remember today, why is FTT up? I mean, I have to short this. Are there perps on FTT? Yes. Where? Okay, well, let's short it. Are there perps on FTT? Okay, I'm going to short that. Yeah, so that's it. So I think, look, summarize it. Bitcoin will probably continue to go up. There is a risk of a correction because of the leverage. I don't think the correction is going to come very soon because now the problem is we're going to continue to pick up acceleration. I did tell you guys I took an extra trade. What I did was I actually added onto my ETH position. I added another 100 ETH to this ETH position. So you can see that now this position is $2 million up. But I've got my entry price is slightly higher. The reason why I'm comfortable to take this entry price slightly higher is because now to get back to my entry price, it's a 30% correction, right? So crazy. Drift is up 18%. I think I'm short on one of the exchanges. Is Drift up 18%? I think I'm short on one of the exchanges. Fuck, it is. Wow, I must just make sure I'm not getting liquidated on that position. Yeah, so that's that. Remember a couple of things. Number one, before we get there, I actually want to talk about a project that I haven't spoken about before, but they are one of our sponsors, and actually I think today is a very, very good day to speak about this project. So the reason why I want to talk about this project is I mentioned to you that in the beginning when I did the CNBC show, I had the pleasure and the benefit of meeting all the who's who people in the space and all the pioneers in the space who are building amazing projects, right? Now, one of the projects that I interviewed back in my CNBC days, and I hadn't heard about this project probably for a long time since then, is a project called Elastos. So I don't know if you guys know this project. It's a project called Elastos. It's a real OG project, which was founded, I think, somewhere around I remember it from like 2017. So it's got to be somewhere that old. Now, what these guys are doing is they're building a Bitcoin-powered decentralized web. So a completely Bitcoin-powered decentralized web in terms of everything that you need for a decentralized web, from decentralized chains, decentralized identification, and stuff like that. Now, I must say I hadn't heard of this project for a long time. And then the guys got hold of us and said, look, do you know that, the guy that you interviewed, this is the guy, his name is Rong Cheng. He's a very impressive guy. He used to work at Microsoft.
It's a very big number, actually. It is a big number. So the reason why we have that main chain is because everyone believes in Bitcoin and it's not being controlled. And
so they are using Bitcoin merge mining and have been using Bitcoin merge mining to create a completely decentralized smart web layer. And I checked in on the project. I mean, the project's still alive, actually doing very, very, very well. So in the next couple of days, I'm going to dig into this project and, all the different layers and the side chains and everything that they're doing. But it is one that has survived the test of time, right? He has survived the test of time, been here since 2017, and still actually doing it. Okay, so just quickly before we go, a few more things that I want to run with you. Number one, remember that. Hold on, I don't know why it's doing this. So remember that on the other channel today, so on the actual Crypto Banter channel, just after this, there's going to be a debate between Peter Schiff and Fred Krueger, which is going to be a massive, massive, massive debate. So that's going to be on in an hour. Holy shit, I've got to start preparing. So that's going to be, it's in an hour, right? So it's in 1 hour on the other channel. We're going to be there. Also remember that if you want to learn to trade for free with Sheldon. Now Sheldon's, oh God, why does it give me this? I think that's because I'm using a VPN. That, or they want me to train the AI. Oh, for God's sake. So if you want to join the Sheldon's Trading School, so have a look here. If you want to join Sheldon's Trading School, there is if you want to join for free, is there a Sniper School link here? There should be a Sniper School link. Okay, we'll get a Sniper School link to you guys. Maybe to ask Amy to put in the Sniper School link. If you want to learn to trade with Sheldon, he's doing a cohort now. You literally,
for my family.
He's made his cohorts in such. Actually, let me quickly go there so you can have a look at it. School. Okay. So he's made his course that you literally learn to trade in 10 days, which means that for free, you can actually learn to trade in 10 days. And this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. He's an amazing trader.
What an incredible journey. I might get emotional, but it's been wild. I was trading without knowing how to trade. I started doing this about 3 months ago, following you guys, copying what you guys, starting to understand what I was copying. That was a big aha moment for me. Not just, oh, this is what they're doing, to like, oh, I see why they're doing this, to, hey, I'm gonna try to do it myself, to like, freaking work, you know?
Yeah. So look, to sign up for Sheldon's trading course, it is one of the best places to learn to trade. It's absolutely, absolutely free. You don't pay anything. Also, remember, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. This is the Banter Alpha channel. This is where you're going to get alpha every single day, and it's not time to put on the bell notifications. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, get this. We're going to be on the other channel, the normal channel, and we've got Michael Saylor on. First interview since $100,000. We've got Michael Saylor on coming to our channel tomorrow. First live interview, guys. First live interviews. All right, love you guys madly. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.